There's a lot for us to get into here with NBC News White House correspondent Yamiche Alcindor, NBC News international reporter Matt Bodnar, editor-in-chief of Foreign Policy Ravi Agrawal, and Washington Post foreign affairs columnist and MSNBC contributor David Ignatius. Yamiche, I want to start with you, and I hope you can start us off with a TikTok of what we're going to see just a few hours from now.
Well, what we're going to see is President Zelensky coming to the White House, really flanked in solidarity by a number of European leaders. If we put it up for folks, we can kind of list the people that are coming to the White House today. You have, of course, President Zelensky, who's the president of Ukraine, but you also have the president of the European Commission, the NATO Secretary General, as well as the leaders of Germany, France, Italy, and Finland. And what you're also going to see here is this schedule. We have White House arrivals, President Trump greeting President Zelensky. We'll have to watch out really closely of how that greeting goes. We know that the last time Zelensky was in the White House, he was essentially kicked out. Then you have a bilateral meeting between President Trump and President Zelensky. Then there's going to be a greeting of European leaders by President Trump, a group photo, and then there's going to be that larger multilateral meeting at 3 p.m. at the White House where President Trump is going to be sitting down with President Zelensky and all these European leaders. And what it's really going to be key here is what exactly what kind of agreements even come out of these conversations. Is it going to be that Ukraine has to be at the table the next time President Trump meets with President Putin? The also big questions are what security guarantees, if any, can Ukraine get out of this? We heard from Steve Witkoff over the weekend, who is a special assistant to President Trump, saying that Ukraine might have NATO-like security guarantees. What that actually means is going to be key here, because does that mean boots on the ground? Does that mean aerial support? A lot of questions and hopefully a lot of at least some answers this afternoon.
Yeah, hopefully. And I think we'll have to wait to hear those details. But one of the things that we'll see immediately are the visuals, which are of central importance to this administration, to this president. They were important to set the tone in Alaska, rolling out the red carpet for Russian President Putin. So will Zelensky be getting a red carpet welcome, figuratively or literally? I mean, you can sometimes see the preps there at the White House, Yamiche. Are there any to that effect?
Well, it's going to be really interesting to see that. I mean, I don't know if they're going to see a literal red carpet in front of the White House. What we do think we're going to see is President Trump warmly welcoming President Zelensky back to the White House. That's key because, remember, it was in February where President Trump and President Zelensky, along with the Vice President and Secretary of State Marco Rubio, had this really raucous meeting where President Zelensky and President Trump and the Vice President were arguing essentially about whether or not President Zelensky was grateful enough for all of the help that the United States had given Ukraine. So it really ended up blowing up, and you actually saw President Zelensky be shown the door unceremoniously. So the fact that he's even coming back to the White House and that President Trump is welcoming him, that's a sort of red carpet in and of itself, given the fact that the way that the last meeting ended, I could not, and many could not have envisioned another meeting happening, along with, of course, all these European leaders, Allie.
Yeah, you're right. That hangs over this so much. And Matt, it sort of begs the question, if that's why European leaders wanted to be at this table, or if they felt they had to come do some damage control after Friday. I mean, talk a little bit about the calculus on the part of all of these top European leaders who flooded to Washington really at a moment's notice.
Well, that's all correct. So we don't know, specifically the mechanics of how this came together. It's some mix of the Europeans pushing to come themselves, Zelensky insisting they be there. There was also an official White House invitation thrown in the mix. Either way, this is all a clear signal that the Western alliance is seriously alarmed by what did or didn't happen in Alaska on Friday, and also what Trump might be planning to present to Zelensky in Washington today. So Zelensky is showing up with a serious entourage. As you said, they're all coming on a very short notice. The UK Prime Minister, heads of NATO, European Union. Two that I really want to kind of pick out of the bunch here is the French President Macron and Finland's President Stubb, who I would point out has a reputation as kind of a Putin whisperer, but he's also someone who has a very unique perspective on dealing with the Russians. He's also become Trump's favorite European leader. They golf together and reportedly have a close relationship. So that could be critical today in attempting to bring President Trump back to the European side. But it is also worth saying in that context that I think Macron's presence here is significant, since he's arguably the Western leader who has the most experience in being lied to by President Putin. You may recall that Macron tried very, very hard in the lead up to the invasion in 2022 to essentially talk Putin out of it. He went to Moscow. He spent hours on the phone with Putin. So, all that said, today's meeting might actually end up being more consequential than the one on Friday. We'll see how they do.
It's actually interesting to hear the way that you lay out which world leaders have sway with who, because ultimately being in that room and the question of who has sway with Trump could be of paramount importance. David Ignatius, according to your reporting, who might that world leader be, and what might the relationships in the room look like from the point of view of not just who knows the Russians and the way they operate, but who knows Trump and the way that he operates?
Certainly, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has developed a better and better relationship with Trump. And interestingly, Vice President J.D. Vance has developed a similarly close relationship with the British Foreign Secretary. I think one important dimension of what's going to happen today, especially in this big meeting with the European leaders in the afternoon, is if things go as they're expected to go, this will be about a joint U.S.-European declaration of support for Ukraine's security if a peace deal is reached. The peace deal may involve territorial concessions that Ukraine strongly resists, so it's too early to predict with confidence that it will work. But one of the things that's emerged since Friday's meeting in Alaska that's really significant is that Trump and Putin talked about U.S.-led security guarantees with what were described as Article 5-like non-NATO guarantees for Ukraine. That basically means a nuclear guarantee without the NATO official housing for it. It's a strong commitment as the U.S. can give. It's what we give to Japan, South Korea, other key allies. And if that offer is made, with Europe standing with President Trump and affirming that this is a collective European-American effort, that's going to have some significance for certainly for Zelensky, and I think ought to register for Putin that he's not getting everything he wants. He may have seemed to run the table in Alaska, but the final result may be a little more complicated.
And yet we also see, Ravi, that last night the president is basically giving Ukraine a public ultimatum, turning his sights on Zelensky and saying in a Truth Social post, Zelensky can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to, or he can continue to fight. No getting back Crimea, no going into NATO. Zelensky himself pushed back on this in his own post today. But what kind of tone does that set? And what kind of guardrails does that show that Trump is putting on what these negotiations might look like, sort of jumping off of what David talked about there, whether it's a ceasefire, whether it's territory being given up that Ukraine very much does not want to do, whether it's keeping them out of NATO? I mean, talk about the contours here.
Yeah, look, Trump's made very clear that he wants to see this resolved. He wants to add this to his list of conflicts around the world that he has sort of set towards peace. He often says he's solved 6 global wars in 6 months. This is the one that he cares about the most. So there's a degree of desperation. And I think that is what we're seeing in the pressure that he's exerting on Zelensky. And this is also where I think the presence of Europe's leaders is so important. They all feel that standing together, they will present a united front. They will be able to exert more pressure on Trump. They think that he is more likely to respond to that kind of a diplomatic show of force. Trump, as you mentioned, really cares about the visuals, the imagery, the pomp and circumstance. So what this all comes down to then is the security guarantees that David mentioned there. And, you know, the backdrop to this and the historical context is that Ukraine has often felt let down by history and by guarantees, whether they're from Europe, whether they're from America. And what they're going to need is something more than just words. They're going to need something a little bit more ironclad if they do anything along the likes of the Land for Peace deal that Putin has proposed, which, by the way, includes parts of territory that Ukraine has not yet lost on the battlefield and that are incredibly crucial to it being able to hold on defensive positions.
And you talk about the security guarantees and why there's concern about them holding. That's because all the way going back to 1994, you've seen Russians not be constrained by those kinds of guarantees. And yet, Matt, they are at the top of the agenda today to try to prevent any further Russian aggression after any truce is signed. So what could be ironed out on this issue in a way that actually gives the Ukrainians and, frankly, the rest of this community the faith that Russia would actually abide by at this time?
Well, this is, frankly, one of the more confusing points to come out of Alaska. Previously, Russia itself has been very clear that it rejects any idea, like the very idea of security guarantees for Ukraine, or at least anything meaningful, something like an Article 5 style protection or Western forces in Ukraine as a backdrop. We've heard about that from the Europeans. But now we're being told that there is some kind of apparent agreement with Putin on this idea. Here's how Trump envoy Steve Witkoff phrased it on CNN yesterday.
We were able to win the following concession, that the United States could offer Article 5-like protection, which is one of the real reasons why Ukraine wants to be in NATO. We sort of were able to bypass that and get an agreement that the United States could offer Article 5 protection, which was the first time we had ever heard the Russians agree to that.
So this is definitely big if true, but there's a lot of questions on what that would look like. How exactly is the U.S. providing this guarantee? What's the trigger for U.S. action under that guarantee? What would U.S. action in that situation look like? I mean, we can just, the list goes on. And as you were mentioning, Ali, Ukraine has sort of been in this situation before, back in '94 with that agreement that guaranteed their territorial sovereignty if they gave up their old Soviet nuclear weapons. So, you know, there's a lot that we still don't know about this.